Hi, humanity. Welcome to my channel. This is where we talk about the laws of mind that govern our lives. And today is a request, and we're taking on the book, The Science of Being by Baron Eugene Fersen, that explains the science of being. And the opposite of that is personality. And that's the cult of personality. So the subjective side is the science of being, and the objective side is personality, the cult of personality. So he does a marvelous job. You have to understand, whenever you're reading any of these teachers, the time and place they're in, and how far along science had come, if they're putting it in a science way, if they're using the story of science. So he's using the story that came down generation after generation amongst the kings and queens and dukes and the royalty that were aware of how this is done. The ultimate handbook on this is the Bible, and it's called Torah, which means instructions on being. And it's been written in different ways according to the culture and the story they were being told, and it's different for every culture and area, but it's what you're believing in as the, universal life force, God. There's a supreme being, and everyone believes in this being. Okay, and even the people who say they don't believe it, you have to believe in it if you're not going to believe in it. I know, catch-22. Science of being, he puts it in the story of magnetism, but he puts it very well about energy. And so as you're reading it, you can, what I did anyways, because I'm like an electrical genius, and that's just where I go with it. Oh, I'm like a DC battery hooking up to the AC system. I'm plugging in. Okay. I'm turning on and I'm tuning in. Okay. But it's really like sex. All right. It's like sex. Here, you're the queen bee. You're the egg. You're laying here, and in this Star of David position that we'll talk about in just a minute, and the universal life force that's like, okay, here, that's an invitation. If your mind is still, come and get me. Okay. And he's the sperm, and he's going to come in there, and plug into your solar plexus. He's penetrating you, and now it's filling up, it's pulsing, it's like sex. And you see this throughout the sculptures and the reliefs and everything in the ancient temples all over around the world. Sex, 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 sex. The Hindus have one of the greatest books on sex ever written, the Kama Sutra, and they knew about, sex, and the Bible tells you you're procreating when you're doing that. You're making not just physical babies, you're making other people and places and things to come be whatever it was you were thinking about when you climaxed, as you were coming into fruition, as you climax. So the science of being does tell you some fundamentals, and you have to, as you do with every teacher, you have to remove their perception and only look at what is truly being presented. And what is being presented, when you go back and look at it, I mean, I read it like 3 or 4 times the first time I got my hands on it. And then only when I went back and read it again did I realize the importance of what he was saying about the Star of David exercise and the energy in the solar plexus, and how, you're like a battery, and you plug in and do this Star of David exercise, or you mentally do it and sit down and say, I'm now one with the universal life force, but your mind is quiet. You're not thinking about anything when you do that. And it just comes and plugs into you. And it's only good. And so as it plugs into you, now it's filling you back up with the energy. And eventually that pulsing, it grows, the light grows and it grows and it grows, and it's saturating your being. And it's restoring everything back to the perfect image held in the mind of God. Okay, in that being, which can only be you're young and beautiful and what we would call young and gorgeous and wonderful. All the things you desire that are on your heart. You want to be beautiful, you want, riches, you want all that. It reads your heart. And it starts bringing it to you in a perfect way, in a loving way, in a wonderful way. But then you unplug, okay, and you're full. If you're doing it physically, then you'll feel the tingle coming out of your right hand. I'll put a link to the explanation of it a little more in the description below, but you're full. Okay, you're full. You feel full. You feel happy. You feel joyful. The fear, the guilt, the doubt, you're not. You've touched God. It's amazing. Leonardo da Vinci showed us this in the Vitruvian Man, the Star of David exercise positions. But it really boils down to if you're constantly being placed in fear, in doubt, guilt, running around trying to justify yourself and the way you think and why you think that way and blah 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 blah, you're sucking the life energy that's in your solar plexus that you've had stored up. You're sucking it out by doing these things that really mean nothing, except they suck it out of you. This is where we get those stories of the vampires and stuff like that, And the idea is conserve that energy, that love, okay? Because it's love, baby. And what you're giving love to, it loves you, so it's going to give it to you, okay? You tell it what you love by your thinking. So it's catch the mood, because it doesn't speak words, and it's feeling your feelings. So if you're in that position and all you're doing is feeling happy and joyful, then to the ultimate, being, that means you're living life. And he's giving you all the things of life, and he only knows good. So you can only get the good things of life, And that's if you feel happy. And it doesn't matter what you're doing on the outside. He doesn't care. When you get with him, are you happy? What's private is private. Between you and him, you're happy. You do what you think you need to do on the outside. Okay? That's your heart talking. And you'll be shown one way or another. And by what's happening, you can tell if you're falling into karmic law or the law of love. It's really that simple. This is a mind game place. And if you're falling under karmic law, then you're still seeing others, and you're falling into the cult of personality. And the cult of personality is when people say, well, he told me to do it, so I did it. No, that's not good enough. Well, they said this was going to happen, so I believed that. No, sorry. You don't have to believe that. You did that to yourself. This is what happened in Nuremberg, so you're headed towards Nuremberg too, because they forgot, that you don't know. Now, the Christ has ascended, the veil is torn, and here we go, we're receiving the promise. So you're going to choose, are you following a cult of personality, or are you following substance? you know, and substance is common sense. They all think they have to put on some personality that everybody will be magnetized to, instead of the substance of what is being said. And, you know, who knows where that came from? That's been going around for a long time. So the idea is, no, sorry, you're just a man. I don't care if you're worth $1 billion, $500 million, I don't care. You're just a man just like me. Okay? You're supposed to represent. Get off your high horse and get down here and represent us. Or don't. I don't care. You know, but you don't tell me. Okay? Only God tells me. So, yeah. That's man's substance. I'm not going to listen to anything until I go sit back and go hang with the brothers. What's right will be told. Okay, what to do in our role, in our position. That's what we know, where the other guys are knee-jerking. Oh, you must love them because he's this. Well, we'll attack his personality. These are Salem witch trials. These are, you know, the same thing over and over and over again. And it comes down on everybody. It's raining down. Hang on tight. Because you're about to kill the cult of personality that's been around forever. You know, there's nothing wrong with anyone's personality. It's all beautiful. It's all a gorgeous expression of God. But it's tied up in judgments. And so you have to leave it behind. You know, you leave the ego part behind. There's nothing wrong with your humor. You're funny. You're introverted. You're extroverted. All that other stuff. You're a beautiful human being. But when it comes time to making decisions about yourself and your life, maybe other people's lives, then you need to sit down and talk to the congregation. Talk to the council. Get the wise counsel's opinion on it all. So I hope this helps. For me, the science of being had some wonderful big nuggets in it. Glorious nuggets, but I didn't take on his story of the magnetism. I understand it's the same story as the one that I tend to relate to, which is electricity, but and computing. But it's you know, everybody's different, so they'll translate it into their own way of thinking. So, you know, you have to remember to do that as you read all these teachers, and you'll find one or two that are just sticking straight to principle and truth. And Florence Scovel Shinn and Emmett Fox were two that really did. But, you know, like Murphy and Goddard and Manly P. Hall and so many others, you know, they just dropped it. They didn't talk about it anymore and went into the science part of it. You know, so in the mental, and they were meant to, you know, you need to understand this is a mental game. So I hope this helps. You understand the difference between being, the work science of being. It's a beautiful work, you know, and how the actual instructions of being are from the Bible. Yeah. So the one of the things to remember is that when you're, you know, when you're in the flow and you're just being happy and letting the life force bring all this good to you, you know, you're like flowing with it. Now you can keep doing your sets and keep doing your sets and keep doing your sets and keep doing your sets until you get it, but you're really kind of forcing it. So I hope this helps. Blessings to you. And thank you. Thank you for being you.